Okay, guys. Let me know if I'm visible. Yeah, just sharing the screen. You can see. Today we are going to have some graph learning. So we are going to see this GraphQL with Spring Boot tab first. What is GraphQL? So let us understand. GraphQL is a query language for API created by Meta platform. So Meta is basically Facebook. Instead of multiple REST endpoints like users, get users ID, get users ID slash orders, GraphQL has one endpoint, just like post slash GraphQL class sends a query specify exact fields required. So here you can see we have a query where we can pass user ID and then name and email, and it will simply return only the name and email, right? Why GraphQL over REST? Multiple endpoints. REST have multiple endpoints. GraphQL has single endpoint. Overfetching. Fetch only required fields. Yeah, it is actually. Underfetching. Nested queries. Versioning needed. Schema evolves. So these are the few benefits of GraphQL over REST. But REST is still used widely, not GraphQL in the industry. I have seen. I'm working with that, so I can tell you that mostly around my 9 to 10 years of experience, I have seen only in one company, in a single project, one project, they were using GraphQL. Otherwise, no company uses this one. Most company use REST. Despite they have multiple endpoints, they use it because there is Swagger URL endpoints. There is a dashboard which contains all the endpoints, multiple endpoints. So there, the visibility is kind of very fine, very easy. You can see that those URLs. Yeah. Swagger URL I can show you in my one of my previous project. Let me show if I have this GPU. This control, yeah, GPS packet controller, right? So here, actually it is a consumer, not controller. Yeah, so here you can see I have two APIs. Let me run this and show you like how Swagger works. I have added Swagger dependency here in the form.xml. You can see Swagger. Let me scroll down. Somewhere I have added Swagger. Let me find it. Yeah. So here you can see this dependency, Swagger doc related dependency, Spring doc open API starter, web MC UI. This we need to add. Now this server is started. So let me open the localhost Swagger so that I can show you. Yes, here you can see this one. Cool. So my server is running on 8082 and this is the Swagger endpoint. You can see two get methods are there in the tracking controller, and these two methods are nothing other than these two only, slash track slash vehicle id slash track slash vehicle id. You can see it is a get mapping, so get method. Cool. So why I was showing you this, to show you the difference between GraphQL and REST endpoint. But I was telling you, like, REST endpoint still being used in most of the industries, right? So you can see here, for adding dependencies, you can add GraphQL. Let me add the same, and let me add this to the same project actually. Here you can see I have my map.xml, and suppose I want to add this dependency here, GraphQL, and then Spring started data GPA. We need to do that. Suppose I want to add this one also. Let me copy that. Yeah. It will format and build it. It will go and download the dependencies. Here now see create GraphQL schema. So create a file resources.graphql.schema.graphql. So inside resources, what we need to do? We need to create a folder GraphQL. So let me do that. Here you can see inside resources, new folder, this new directory, GraphQL, and inside it schema.graphql s new file schema.graphql. So now here you can see inside schema what we can do, what we are going to do. We are going to have a user ID, name, email, then type of query, then type of mutation like username, string, this. So this schema defines query read, mutation is equal to write. So if you have worked with protobufs are kind of similar syntax actually they have, but yeah, it is cool. Here we have type user, then type query, then type mutation. Type query is, you can see get user, so get methods. Mutation is create user, so CRUD, right? CRUD operation, create, read, update, delete, these kind of those things. And then what we can have an entity called user. So let me see if I have an entity. Here you can see I have entity already. Users ID, name, email and phone. ID, name, email and phone. And other than that, what we can have, this user repository. So here we have user repository which has user and long, right? Find by ID is a method inside it. Okay, it is empty. User GraphQL controller. We can now create one more controller which is user GraphQL container, right? And it is a controller, so we can annotate it with the REST controller. Yeah. Okay, it is not a REST controller because we are going with GraphQL, right? So we kind of two competitors. So we REST versus Graph, so we cannot use REST controller here because we are not creating REST, we are creating GraphQL, so we cannot use REST controller. Mm. Cool. So now we are having this user repository. Okay, that is important actually. We can private user repo, yeah, user repo state, and then we can auto add it, yeah. So now here you can see query mapping, there is annotation, right? So first let's use this user.getUser. You can see user, we need to import this one, import the user class from entity, awesome, and we need to annotate it with @query mapping, query mapping, right? So it is going to fetch the data. Now this is for read, right? So one more query mapping we can create. Here you can see get users. Okay, so here one more thing we need to do, @argument. So argument is ID of the user. Here you can see @argument ID of the user. Now ID, right? Now let's get this one, list of user, get users. Now we can write it from like list of user, get users, which is simply user equals to return user equals to return online, right? It should be finding all the values, right? Now we need to import the list from util package. Right, and okay, let me do it manually then. Import java.util dot list. ठीक है, अब यहाँ पे कर देते हैं direct query mapping, right? It will get all the users. Now let's write for the create user. So here you can see simple create user. Do not copy everything, just let's type so that we can learn more of it. Public void create user. We want to give user 4 values, right? What are user fields? Inside it we have entity data lombok, right? We don't have this lombok, so I think we can use a direct lombok also. Okay, lombok is not there. Okay, the data is from the lombok only, right? Yes. Cool. So ID, name, email and phone. ID, name, email and phone. Let's have these things. Long ID, long name. So you can pass long ID is string name, and then what other things are there? Email and phone. A string email and phone is string. Yes, it is string. So string phone. Where other now these things we have now. Here you can see argument we need to add because it is an argument. So let me add the argument. And then add the argument. So these 4 things are going to be passed to create the user. So simply we need to do these things. We need to do user new user. Here you can see user.set email. You not like this. User.set ID. I did not see it. ID. I think in editor we did need not to set the ID, right? Set phone. Set phone. Suppose 82, 83, 84, something like that. 91. 91 is correct. 92. 5 digits. Okay. It is a string, so it is expecting string. Something. Okay. No need not to do that. Actually, we can pass it in the argument. So just set from here. Return user, return db. Okay. What I did, Control Z. Make create user, return db. Entity of user. Okay. So it is going to return as the user. Not a big deal. Cool guys. So here you can see we have simply created a graph controller, GraphQL controller, which gets the user by ID, get all the users, and creates a user in the database, right? Okay. Now example query here you can see we have post slash GraphQL and then GraphQL get users ID and name we need to pass, and then it will fetch us. Okay, so let me test it, right? So testing we can use on local port. Okay, so let me run this one. Okay, let's see our APIs are up and running or not. Okay, it's just running. Server is starting. Yeah, there are some errors we are having related to socket. Opening socket MongoDB driver. Actually, MongoDB is looking for, but we do not have MongoDB right now because MongoDB is down. But other than that, what we are doing, it is actually consumer. Kafka consumer is running, and actually it is from my previous project. No need to worry. Let's see at our local host. Here is only. Let me duplicate it. And let's see localhost 802 graph q, right? So here, okay. It is IQ 802 white level. I think it is GraphQL. What is the URL which we have? Schema, user ID, get users, create users. Three things we have. ID has ID, name and email, right? That's okay. ID, name and email. So let me keep that only. Name and email. ID, name and email. Let me remove this one. I will remove this one for now. Keep it. I'll keep it strict to the schema. And After the schema, what should we have? This controller should have the URL, right? Where is the URL it is fetching? I can't see the URL. Uh, uh, single input. GraphQL typically operates from a single error input on its server. The exact location depends on how satisfied what a common conviction is to place it at the slash GraphQL path. So our server is running on 8082 and this seems to be fine, right? This should be our URL. API slash GraphQL. Declares the endpoint of API slash GraphQL plus an API. Okay. Local port. Then GraphQL. Local offset 80 GraphQL. So nothing different, right? That is what we are doing. This is the path actually. This is the now user repository of save. So by default it is suggesting like the URL should be like the local host and then GraphQL, right? And okay, this is just search for plugins and repository. GraphQL is a type purchase GraphQL and the tool of GraphQL. GraphQL checkpoints are data checkpoints with so ये स्टार्ट तो कर सकते हैं लेकिन करेंगे नहीं now it should not happen. Why it is not running on the public? It should be running there, right? Our local host, so this rejection points are working there. Then my GraphQL is not showing. There's nothing wrong we have done here till now. Right? Username products can call multiple DB queries, which I can understand. When not to use in GraphQL, avoid GraphQL if simple CRUD APIs. And then here you can see internal microservice communication. If you are doing, then do not use GraphQL. And low complexity UI. If the UI is very low complexity, then don't use. For complex, it is suggested to be used. And also it is saying REST is simpler in these cases. Interview answer short. GraphQL is a query language for APIs that allows clients to request exactly the data they need through a single endpoint. In Spring Boot, it is implemented using Spring GraphQL, where schema defines queries and mutations and all controllers resolve them. So basically we need to see queries and mutations inside the schema. Since you are a senior engineer, the next installation might be GraphQL Federation microservices API. Let's not go into that for now. First, let's show if it is working, right? We need this thing. Post, then GraphQL. Okay. I think I have done some mistakes. Let me fix that also first. What mistake I have done? if you can see these query annotations, they are given by a annotation, right? So I have, I think, not given this annotation. Query mapping, it is for mutation I have not given, right? So for mutation we need add mutation. Add mutation method. Alright. So that mutation mapping, no, it seems good. That argument we have already there. And then at that argument everything seems to be fine. At the controller, SpringBoot is either query mapping and the mutation mapping. Yeah, and then simply return the positive of there. This is perfectly fine, I think. Query does get users ID name. This is the problem, right? We are not getting this slash GraphQL URL, but we are getting other REST endpoints here. For the REST service, here you can see I have REST controller. These services are showing, these actually APIs are showing on the Swagger portal. And for user GraphQL, I'm observing some difference actually. GraphQL, it is not running. Local host slash GraphQL. It is not showing. It will use Postman maybe. Okay, let's GraphQL API. And start the server in debug mode so that we can understand. Oh, it is not running. Other things. Now we are going for Postman. And we want GraphQL. Allow to send GraphQL. It is post. It is not bad, but I want to create a new environment. Here I can see, okay, and then I have to see. Okay, Postman from GraphQL, right? Creates a new GraphQL because the GraphQL project is designed for crafting classroom. You can use its dedicated GraphQL client which provides an interactive database. This service manually through HTTP. So one is dedicated GraphQL. So create the new request and new button, select GraphQL. Create new request. File where you can see create new request. This one, right? New request, not like this. This one, forward to let me click on here. It did not save anything. Not this one. It is not saving it. Create new request in the personal side where click on here. Right. It is not showing that. So just to disappointing. Okay, here on the left. Let's create. Oh, cool. Here it is, guys. So you can see on the new, click on this one, then HTTP GraphQL AI, GRPC, sockets flow, collection MQTT socket, everything is here. So we need to create, choose for GraphQL. Yeah. Now I want my URL to be here. HTTP localhost to not like this, like this. Query. Unknown error occur. No authorization import GraphQL schema. This is better actually. Let's import this one. There it is. It is inside documents, then dev, then projects, then dev here. Inside src. Inside src. No, it is inside src, right? Then resources. No schema.graphql. I think I have GraphQL, so it is not giving me. Let me say the example extension for GraphQL. Deploy extension for GraphQL. Here you can see dot GraphQL schema dot GraphQL. Okay, so S is not there. Nothing specific as schema language. Okay, S is also there. A commonly used short array the standard full GraphQL documents query is noticing many schemas. Often use specific domain schema definition language TLS. Here you can see this type of camera. Video. So or you can see here GraphQL. Let me use this GraphQL then. The GraphQL, the standard for full GraphQL documents, right? It should work. GraphQL is not bad. Let me rename it. IntelliJ छोटा सा काम करते हैं वो भी मेरे को करें सभी पिक्चर it is working good. Let me use it as GraphQL, right? refactor कर लेते हैं अभी चेक कर लेते हैं वो रन करके let's see schema.graphql we are running this it's okay it's good server is starting don't worry now let's go to postman where it is yeah just let's import the GraphQL file okay now it is visible so QLS should not we should not use now let's query it 404 not found right the string it does not found anything 8082 select GraphQL import as a page party the 15 minutes you can import GraphQL schema we already used it schema gives a decision introspection response we already provided this schema right why it is not working man we don't have okay this we have ID now everything right okay create user also showing so from schema point of view it is showing right ID can be 5 name can be okay this is not the rating here the schema we cannot send it it looks like so we have mutation and then here we have query and mutation query should work right suppose I want to get the user by name user name no I want ID और यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम आ रही है query get users ID and name this is same let me check we have get user ID here you can see query get user then inside get user query get user then ID and name get user then ID and name direct for the right so it is not exactly I expected get users ID and name get user data query should be get users ID and name ID and name should get all the ID and name mutation with name is equal to this and then name let me create user this is the create user right so here you can see mutation create user ID and name okay here we can ID and name so name we are given Let's run it. Hmm. So here you can see we have everything here. Create user, get users. It is fetched properly from our schema. Here you can see our GraphQL schema. But somehow I am not able to see why this controller is not listening. GraphQL controller is not getting these. We get user, find the ideal, return the get users. These kind of GraphQL methods, right? Mutations and queries. Although it should work, right? Add user to what might be the problem. Hmm. Inside resources only, right? What is the problem? Exception MongoDB driver. Connection. This is related to MongoDB, right? There's nothing related to Postgres. And it should work. It is Kafka consumer only. There's nothing. Mm, mm, what I can do, GraphQL schema. Why it is not loading? Check this path is TTP. Check this endpoint. So in the posting what we have. This is going to be post only, right? And Spring the GraphQL path is equal to graph. Let me first start this syllabus because it is going to help Google Maps API somehow. The point between APIs layers and GraphQL. When GraphQL, you should see the lesson when GraphQL loads correctly. Let me find it. Uh, I can't see the GraphQL. This is only loading the job, nothing else. Okay, so now for the customer request, my suppose you have this. This content choose the notation controller which I have used instead of this one. Graphic mountain browser. ग्राफिक यूज क्या है ग्राफ आईपीआर first time facing this issue I don't know why so springboot version schema.controller code springboot keyboard was only schema engine 6 schema first work implemented never existed which is positive for lesson how to build a program springboot in 5 minutes or the integration yes go ahead क्योंकि यहाँ तो काम नहीं आ रहा है ये पोस्ट करता है डिस्प्ले let me add this into properties file then let me add verification of properties GraphQL right so now let me run it nothing white level GraphQL let me check this log here once again no GraphQL is not working okay, let me do one thing let me create a new project initialize the project and then move it into that let me do that and initializer GraphQL lambda and post stickers I think these are good these things are made for now. Generate. Let's unzip this. What I'm trying to do, my GraphQL is not working, so here I want to make it working. So suppose I put it in this project folder. Inside projects, let me push project. Alright, this is the problem. Oh no. So this one, right? Now let's open it. Main page. Let me close all the services. This one. Also close this one. Now let's open a new project. Inside it, documents, then div projects, then we go to GraphQL, then this folder text. Open as a project, new. Cool. It is loading the dependencies. Let it load. Meanwhile, what we can do, we have this GraphQL static, right? This folder, GraphQL application, which is fine, and my laptop battery is low, which is not good. Okay, we have this GraphQL. What I want to do, is this. I want to copy this file and I want to paste it here. Schema.graph. Right? So we have schema.graph, and we need a controller, right? So let's do that. Also, before adding to the controller, I want to add the path for the GraphQL. So here, GraphQL controller, not this one. In the application properties file, we can do this. Now let's copy the controller. User copy and paste it inside here. Okay, cool. And we need the user file which is in the entity one. Alright. So copy it. So copy it inside this user new package entity, and then paste it here. Cool. Spring Data JPL. Don't we have Spring Data JPL now to SQL? Spring Data JPL, where it is? Oh, that's we forgot it. Let me take the Spring Data JPL from here only. So here, now it should give them for suggestions at least. Right. Now let me create a repository file, controller, package, and then repository package. Now let's move this controller to controller, refactor. Very cool. Let's create this class user repository inside new Java interface user repository. Right. Now, why it is not giving the suggestions, man? So here we have GraphQL user controller. Let's have this user class here only. Okay, entities are working fine. We need to import it. Okay, that's the problem. Now it will suggest. And entity. Find by ID, find by. Oh. Now what is the problem? We are going to see create find by ID in repository. That is great. We're gonna do that. So we have this repository where it is. User repositories. So here you can see extends GPA repository, which is important. So if I do that, our repository should extend GPA repository, and then we import the class, right? Find by ID, find out. I think now we have all our GraphQL related data here. So here we have our schema. Schema.graph. No, it is no problem, I think. This GraphQL application, if we run it, let's see what we can see here. Okay, I do not have the other data source URL, so that I need to give from application.yml file. This actually, not this one, this one. So let me copy actually this file. That will be better. Copy and this, paste it here. Now I don't need Spring Kafka. I need to run it on a 080 port. MongoDB I don't want. GPU Hibernate, MongoDB, let's just remove this one. So now we have J configuration to be GPA Hibernate DDL objects. It is going to create and then update it. And Postgres name GPS master. Yeah, we can use this GPS master because we have user table in that. Now let's see what is going to happen. Now some more. Fail to configure data source URL attribute is not configured. If you want to embed it, put it in a class path. Why URL attribute is not specified? Localhost 5432 it would be right. GraphQL controller. Where do we find actually? Don't see any definitive. I see that this area is related to data source URL, but data source URL we have already given it, right? Confession of username, password. These things we have already done, right? What for this you can see. Mechanism. So you can see we have in the application email, we have URL, username, password, right? URL, username, password, driver class. Okay. Do we need to give the driver class also? No. So, yes. So we have this graph here. And this time I should not be there. Uh-huh. So, It is already there. Convert it to the controller, which is cool. There's nothing wrong here. Then we have this entity. ID name and fine. Hmm. So hyphen was not here. Now it's real, right? It should match exactly. Check the type and see you use driver class name rather than driver class name, something like that. Oh my god. Now what is happening? Let's see. Mhm, mhm, mhm. It is still having some problem to sing. I will rewrite the name. Mhm. So here everything seems to be fine. I read these things right. I don't understand why this is not running fine. Every configuration seems to be good. We have only very small file. You can see user entity only one user and then it is by extending one repository simple application, nothing more simple properties file localhost 8080, right? Data source we have already given. There should not be. Spinning data, GPA, PostgreSQL, SpringBoot starter data GPA, SpringBoot starter data GPA. Okay, 2 times I have written and all done. And then SpringBoot starter data and the test, not test. Everything is fine, right? Java 21. Springboot started it a GPA. We have Springboot started it a GPA. कहाँ गया? Yeah, here we have all the dependencies which are required for GraphQL. So we have GraphQL.
Stop. Stop. हम आ जाएंगे कौन सा आप लाए
Live. ये देखो
हाँ ठीक है दिखा ये मुझे पता है जिनको मैं डिस्टर्ब करने आई हूँ
नहीं हट
अब मैं नहीं बोल रही हूँ कि मेरे साथ चले लेकिन ये जान नहीं है
बस 5 मिनट और
5 मिनट में मेरा ही टाइम जाएगा जाने का
चलो आराम से just
तुम जा जाओ ना फिर जाओ ना
सेकंड रुको मुझे So build is successful. Now let me run this. ऐसा क्या बोल रहा है Go to started data. We have project Lombok. We already have data. Yes. GraphQL. These only four things we have. Resources, GraphQL, and the explanatory schema from this folder. Schema.graphqls. Take that. Entity we have now plus everything we have. Repository, same. GraphQL, also same application like properties. DB, how to create. Let me use instead of Postgres. Let me try this one. If this works, then also it is good. Take to still good. Just start trying with this one. I'm going to comment this. Let me comment everything. Okay. Now also need to use the dependency, right? Let's do database dependency here. So from the XML is where it is. It is here. So let me add the dependency here for database. For is to database, suppose I want to go. So these things, everything is same, nothing new. Started GraphQL server, something like that we need to see. Right. So let me run it. सबका चल जा रहा है, मेरा अटक जा रहा है, पता नहीं क्यों. ओके, टॉमकैट तो चल गया वहाँ सक्सेसफुली. एक बार फिर से देख लेते हैं क्या बोल रहा था. Let's search this. You should see this one. Still can't see. Let me rename it to schema.graphqls. Create file GraphQls. Rename. Refactory now. GraphQls. Okay. Now I have renamed it to schema.graphqls. Okay, and now go to repository GraphQL controller. It is also good, I think. We have everything where argument and the controller. Right. This we have already done. And now started GraphQL server while running the Spring Boot. Let's run this again and see this spring.graphql. Server failed to start. Already in use. Okay. Oh, something happened, guys. GraphQL run command graph. Let me bookmark this because it looks good. Actually, so history. Uh, so, oh my god, there you can see we have our method. Right, and mutation. Let's see mutation. So where is mutation? I can't see the mutation, right? What it is loading? My email, get user, my mutation. It is not finding. I don't want to add one. That's very, very intense. Okay. So here we have just create name and type as usual, ID. Yeah, everything is there, right? So it is speaking. Our graph server is running fine. Now let's create some data, right? So how we gonna do that? वाह चल गया यार अच्छा लग रहा है कब से परेशान था तो ग्राफ केवल जो है इस सर्वर पे चल एक्सप्लोरर so now let's query that mutation request create user let's copy this and let's paste this here control Z this is that's right. Control Z so it should be like this alright 3 columns it is not correct we have get user and get users right get user and get users get user जो है आईडी जाएगा फिर यूजर रिटर्न करेगा गेट यूजर्स जो है यूजर रिटर्न करेगा और फिर लिस्ट ऑफ यूजर रिटर्न करेगा ठीक है म्यूटेशन क्या है तो हमें यूजर पास करना है क्रिएट यूजर नेम स्ट्रिंग इमेज स्ट्रिंग it is very much similar to protocol. Yeah. Now I got get users. Give me proper query. Give me proper query. Notation. सबसे अच्छी बात यह है कि ये चल गया गाइस, जो कि बहुत ही मजेदार चीज थी। So we have here, you can see, we have my query, get user, my query जो है कौन म्यूटेशन का काम है जी, मुझे जो है क्रिएट यूजर देखना था, क्रिएट यूजर आईडी ये ऐसे नहीं चाहिए, कुछ यूज करने के बाद यूज this is my query get user docs each kind of a query notation, right? So we are going to notation and here we have create user, right? For create user we have my query. Instead of query we are going to paste this in notation. Oh my god, it ran. It is into the S2 database, right? Query, here you can see the send a JSON query, the mutation, this, it will send a postman body में if you are one, otherwise GraphQL में this is sufficient. JSON response will be data, then create user, ID, name, email, which is perfect. Query all the users, so let's query this, get users, right? So let me first save it. How can we save it? Okay. Let me use the query. Okay, it is getting the data also, get users. So here going to get users, ID, name and email, it is getting. Now let me add two more users so that we can have something. So let me add a mutation. Among right, ID name, so ID I don't want to be, it is automatically taking, and here we can have my care, and then we can have michael@email.com. Cool. One more, let's have Tiffany. Now we have Tiffany@something.com. Now let's query and get all the users, right? Yeah, so in the these2 database there are 4 records. Okay, awesome. Get all users. It is working fine, man. I love it. So here if you can see, everything is working fine. Oh, let me show one screen. So here, uh, I was talking about GraphQL, right? So now you can see, first what I did, I created a simple SpringBoot GraphQL database project with has two database inside it and nothing more. From all the dependencies added inside here, you can see the dependency like S2 database, SpringBoot start entity, GP SpringBoot started web MSC test, and then GraphQL test, everything we have here only. And inside main, I have controller, user graph controller. You can see it has only two users, and get user and then create user. Why? Well, it is because in the GraphQL we have schema like this. So the two important things in the schema are, you can see, mutation and then query. These two are very important. This is our entity class, right? Now, after running the server, we get into this page at localhost. This URL is very important. Graph IQL query path is equal to GraphQL. So it is very important part. And here you can see we have all our methods, right? So here if you can see, let me go back. Here you can see inside query and mutation. So inside query there are our mutations. Sorry, inside query our methods get user and get users which were defined in the schema, right? In schema here you can see get user and get users. So in the GraphQL here the same thing is here. Now we have one mutation also. Here you can see mutation is with method create user. So mutation is writing ability, basically creating or updating something like that is mutation, right? So query used for getting only read only values, and mutation is for write only. So now you can see we saw the queries, and now let's see the mutation. So here you can see create user with name and email field, and it is returning user type. So it is very well understood here. You can see the same thing. Return type is user, return type is user, input is string and email, input is string and email. Okay, yeah, here only string and email. Cool. So here right now what I did, I created 4 users and just entered them into S2 database, and after that I queried them, and here you can see I have 4 entries into it. So it is working fine. Get users, it is working fine. Now let's use get user, right? Let's use get user by ID. So if I can use get user by ID only, so I think I should get all the users. Okay, to 0. I need to pass some values, right? ID here is equal to 1, maybe. Ah, this is syntactically incorrect, right? So come here, let's see. This is get users. I don't want get users. I want get user. Okay. Inside parenthesis, we need to pass, right? So inside parenthesis, I am passing ID 1. And what things I want? I want ID, I want name, and email. These 3 things I need. Okay, so ID 1, I got this. needed to. I got this. So it is working fine. It is working fine. Good. So this was all. Let me close the live.